Hi, everybody. It's Debbie from Spooky Things. I'm glad that you guys could join us. It's Tuesday night. We got a late start. It's like 7:20.
Yeah,
It's his fault.
my fault.
It's his fault.
My fault.
I'd like to introduce you to his fault. This is Devin. His name is Devin Cribb, and this is my oldest boy. Then my big boy.
Who just turned 36 today?
It's his birthday.
My birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that.
We had pizza and cake and
Barbecue pizza from
yeah.
Pizza Hut. Shout out to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Keeping that 90s lovely tasting pizza alive. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Go out and get one on your, what is it, Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
It is.
I don't know.
It is. I am introducing Devin tonight, and a lot of people, you've seen him before. He's been with me on investigations. He's, I want to say we're training him to be an investigator. We're really not, because, I mean, he's been doing this for so long. It's like, what's to train, He's got it anyway.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, he's my fellow investigator, and we do things a lot together. So I've been talking to him, and I thought, he has been studying this stuff for a long time. And I'll let you go into what he studies, and, I'm fascinated by it. Him and I have had hours-long conversations about this, and I remain fascinated with every conversation that he has, because he knows his stuff.
For the most part.
Oh, for the most part.
Every day I learn something new.
We all do.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, Devin is going to tell us about.
Well, tonight I'd like to touch on the upcoming solar eclipse that we have.
Yeah.
On April the 8th.
Yeah.
It's an exploding subject, so I figure let's start this one off, and we'll talk about it, since it's exclusive to us here in America. I'm gonna break down some things that may be a little scary in a way, because it has to do with war.
I found it to be a bit frightening. It would, so this kind of goes in with spooky things. This is not only frightening, this could be very realistic.
Could be.
And it's definitely spooky.
It's intriguing.
Intriguingly spooky.
But sometimes I might wander off subject. I'll start talking about something and I may wander off. Please excuse me if I do so.
Yeah, I never do that.
I am not organized when it comes to wanting to jump on and talk about something. I actually took notes for this one and wrote them down. So we're going to try to keep this as on subject as possible, where I don't go wandering off.
Like I did.
I wander and I wander. And I wonder.
Why.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. All right. I am getting a Coke from my mumsy. You owe me a Coke. So we have a absolutely fascinating event coming up for April the 8th. And we are going to have our biggest, in my eyes, one of the biggest total solar eclipses in history, biblical proportions ever. That is right. It is incredible. So I am going to go off my notes here, so I may look down from time to time and look back up. I do not have a teleprompter where I can sit here and just read it like the news. So
You're not Howard Stern here.
No, and no, we're not 7 News. We don't have that going on.
We're not Jewish.
I'm not. I'm Native American. And human. So on April the 8th,
He is.
I think so too.
Still.
I think so too. On April the 8th, 2024, we are going to have a incredible total solar eclipse.
Yeah.
And she will be traversing through, making this interesting pattern where the last one came this way and this one's going like this. So we're having a very fascinating X kind of marks the spot deal for this next one. And it's fascinating because it's 7 years apart from the previous one in 2017, and 7 being a very significant number, especially in the Bible. I will start off with telling you guys I'm not completely religious. I do believe in higher powers. I do believe in a creator God. There is way too much out there in the cosmos for there not to be a creator God. This one creator God that created the multiverse, it created our universe, everything. Our universe is conscious, it is alive, it is well, it is listening, it's giving, it's everything, and we are with it. It's with us. So getting to, well, even I will say, Billy Carson stated that the Anunnaki even said that they themselves knew what they were doing here on Earth was wrong, and that they themselves would have to pay a price. They would have to pay the piper for what they've done here, which would tell us that they are not all powerful gods. They're actually kind of insignificant in the eyes of the creator.
Just let's take a step back.
You're right, because
Explain who the Anunnaki are.
The Anunnaki are those from which heaven came. They descended here. See, now if I go onto this, it's gonna be like, I mean, I can go on for way too long about it, so I don't want to wander off.
So, but I just want them to know who you're talking about when you're
Anu, Enki, and Lil, the sons of Anu, and see, because I'm going to start wandering off on some of this stuff. I want to focus on the eclipse, but I will say that these powerful beings ruled here for a very long time. I mean, most of us know of the stories of them. This has been going on for quite a while. And even some little tidbit of information is even recently NASA, using sound mathematics, have detected that there is a planet out there in a completely different orbit than what we know of, that is affecting our solar system. The outer planets of our solar system are kind of kept in check with something that's out there that tugs on them. They figured out that there's something out there using sound mathematics, and there is these certain orbits of objects that go in a weird way of our solar system, and as they move around, it didn't make sense how they were orbiting. They had to be something on the opposite side out there that was tugging on them to keep them in, keeping their orbit stabilized. If that wasn't there, then it would all be knocked out of whack. Everything would be knocked out of whack. It just wouldn't make sense. Sound mathematics wise, it just would not make sense. So they figured this out. This is recent. There's definitely something out there. Give it time, they'll find it. If they can take a picture of a black hole, they can take a picture of a planet that's in our solar system in an odd orbit. So getting back to, I'm wandering all over the place. Getting back to the solar eclipse.
Where is the planet?
If I knew that, I would be such a rich person.
Oh, really?
If I knew exactly where that was. Holy smokes, the amount of...
So I would milk it. There's a lot of people that are looking for it.
Oh, they've been looking for it a long time. You guys, now, conspiracy-wise, do I believe they already know where it is? Hells yeah. I believe they know exactly where it is. They already know everything. It's just as time is going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, how could they know so much about it if they don't know where it is?
I'm telling you, there's a lot of things in this world. I heard something interesting. I can't remember. I think it was Cat Williams that said, "It's the government. It's when the higher ups don't tell you something.
Right.
That's when they're lying to you,
right.
Because everything is out in the open. They hide the truth in plain sight, and it's when they don't tell you something, that's when they're lying to you."
Yeah, it's so, not what they say to you; it's what they're not saying to you.
Yeah,
that really.
And I got to admit, man, there's a lot of things going on in today's America that we need to start waking up to. A lot of people need to start waking up to, especially with Ryan Garcia coming out and posting all kinds of stuff about these higher ups in Hollywood, Satanists, individuals. That's pretty much what they are. They're Satanists, and it's horrific. And they're running this country. They're running all these people that are in these higher positions of power. The ones that are calling the shots. They're pulling all the strings.
Well, you know who you got to talk to that about.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you.
I'm afraid to talk about some things. I can tell you that. So on this eclipse, the last one we saw was August the 21st in 2017. It lasted a totality of about. What was that? We had a little.
Yeah, it glitches.
Oh, okay.
It's because our internet sucks.
Either that is what I'm talking about, and the government's like, no. I don't think that's it at all. I'm just saying that, hey, hopefully I get a couple of views on that just because I said, okay, so the totality on that one was about 2 minutes and 40 something seconds. I think it's 43 exact, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Now, this one that's coming up is way different. It's actually double the amount of time. So on April the 8th, 2024, this total eclipse is going to last about 4 minutes and 30 something seconds, about 4 minutes and 32 to 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
Why is it longer?
That's actually something I've got no clue as to why. I'm actually completely clueless as to why it would be longer, but it is. And it's saying that due to this, the cicadas that have been dormant for about 200 and something years.
That's
trippy, that they're all going to
trippy.
come out and they're going to cause total havoc.
That is true.
What's also fascinating is that this eclipse that's coming up on April the 8th is actually around the same time or on the same exact time as the plagues of Egypt, when we had 3 days of darkness in Egypt. So it's absolutely fascinating that this coming up eclipse is not only biblical, but there's there's evidence of the plagues of Egypt in this happening on the same exact day. I mean, it makes you think. Again, I'm not religious, but I will say that it makes me think, because when you have things that start adding up, these are coincidences in this world. To me, really aren't coincidences at all. Nothing really is just, oh wow, that's a coincidence. No,
Yeah.
oh, coinky dink. No, to me, that's kind of that's not committing yourself to critical thinking. It's just passing it off to something that's a phenomenon. This is not a phenomenon like this. This is absolutely incredible what's getting ready to go down. So, no false prophet can fake this event. It's just not going to happen. There's no way a false prophet can fake what has happened, what has already happened, and what's getting ready to happen. There's no faking this. Since 1776, since the founding of our nation, there has only been a total of 8 of these total solar eclipses. And there's something fascinating about this number that's coming up, because coming up, we're going to have our 9th one. And the number 9 is very, very, very important, because it marks the, it's marking the end of, let me put it down here because I had it written out very well and I'm over here losing myself.
I'll do that.
It's the number 9 is, it's like a target in a way for judgment for our nation. I have it out. Oh my God, here we go. Right. This is why I should have done this a little bit better. I'm not making a fool out of myself here right now in front of all of you.
I do this all the time.
Oh my Lord, what have I done? We'll go back to it like this. The number 8, before we get to the number 9, the significance of it.
There you go.
Now, we had 2 eclipses. Now, we're going to talk about from the founding of our nation in 1776. We had 2 of them. One in June 24th, 1778, and the other would be October 27th, 1780. 80 years after this, we have 3 of them. From July 18th, 1860 to August 7th, 1869. And then we had the 3rd on July the 29th of 1878. 92 years later, we have 2 more. Those 2 occurred on March the 7th, 1970. And then February the 26th of 1979. Coming up 38 years since then, we now have the one that occurred in August the 24th in 2017. 7 years later, we have the one that's going to occur now, this year on April the 8th. What's significant about those is that during that time, those years from 1776 on, when those eclipses occurred, the two first ones, there was the American Revolutionary War that was from April the 19th, 1775, and continued on to September the 3rd of 1783. So the first two solar eclipses that we had from the founding of our nation of 1776, those two, in that time frame, we had the American Revolutionary War. Going on now, the next series of eclipses came the American Civil War, which was from April 12th, 1861 until April the 9th of 1865. Starting to see a pattern?
Yeah, I am.
It continues on.
We need a beer.
The Vietnam War, which was from 1955 to 1975. So in the 70s, we had not only the eclipses, but we were also going through the Vietnam War. That's a trip. Now, after that, we have what's going on now in August the 21st is 2017. As far as major wars, I mean, from that time, we saw what happened in Ukraine, and we were involved in that. We saw well, in a way, we have the ending of the war that we did in Iraq in that time frame since 2017. So is it possible that it could be a warning of a war that's coming up? Because the next three eclipses that we have in line, the next two that we have would be April the 8th, and the one that's going to occur after that is going to be August the 23rd in 2044. So 20 years from now, we're going to have the next one. And who knows what could be going on in that time. I mean, we're literally, I mean, to my eyes, we're already in World War III. It's being fought digitally. So it's going to go from a digital war to possibly a physical war. We've seen some things happening with Facebook being dropped down, AT&T towers being knocked out. Of course, you know, that could be expected. Who knows what could have really happened? They'll come out, they'll make their statements, they'll say what's up. Could it have been a cyber attack? It's a possibility. I mean, I believe our future wars are definitely going to be fought something similar, cyber-based. It's going to get worse, and they're going to cripple banks and things like that. There's a lot that they can do these days. So, the number 9, the 9th solar eclipse, and this is getting to where my notes were on this, so I can get back to that. The number 9 is important because it marks the end. It's significant in the conclusion of a matter. In the end, it marks the end of a matter. It's the number of finality and judgment. It's really fascinating. Number 9 represents. So that upcoming 9th solar eclipse is just as important as the one that's happening here. America had, with this last solar eclipse, an experience that no other place in the world did. We were the only ones that went through that solar eclipse in 2017. The only ones. No other part of the world was affected by it. It was just us. And the one that's coming up is very similar. The one in 2017 went over 7 towns called Salem. Salem means peace. The one that's coming up here is going to go over anywhere between 7 to 8 towns called Nineveh, including one known as Rapture, which is like a population of 1 person. But I believe so. Something like that. I saw.
Rapture, and everybody else is gone.
Yeah, there you go. The one that there's one that remains. He who Oh man! Oh, now we're starting to connect Marvel and Ant-Man and King the Conqueror. He is all that remains. Sorry, Loki. But it's absolutely incredible what's coming up for us here with these eclipses. These have to do with Jonah and the Bible, and again, these are all biblical in a way. And I don't know. Like, I don't want to be one of those ones that are like hopping on the same thing with like, oh, this is biblical based and this is not. I believe there's scientific explanations for everything, but on this one, I don't know. This one's got me. This one's got me a little like wow, because
Well, it's interesting because we're kind of like at a point where science and religion could merge.
with intradimensional beings, you all right. So on this one here, I'm gonna pull one out. Dr. Stephen Greer was talking about. I believe it was Dr. Stephen Greer was talking about when they were doing the analysis of the metals on the UFOs, they found that these metals are like 100% pure. We cannot replicate it. We cannot make metals like this. We just cannot do it. So how they believe these things were created is that these beings are able to kind of think things into existence. They're interdimensional beings. They are able to communicate with the cosmos, sending out vibrations and frequencies into the cosmos to make what they want a reality. In other words, when they're creating these crafts, they're pulling these metals in from other dimensions and bringing them into our own. It's fascinating. If they even think about it, even try to wrap your head around it, it's pretty damn cool. So yes, these are pseudosciences. These are not backed by mainstream academia. But then again, you think about it and you go, well, they still believe the pyramids were burials or tombs for the pharaohs. The only pharaoh that was given, to my knowledge, the only pharaoh that was given credit to building, or sorry, not even remodeling. Khufu remodeled the Sphinx. That was written in a, I believe it was written in the parchment of Papyrus parchment that stated that Khufu did remodel the Sphinx. The Sphinx is actually it's pointing towards the constellation of Leo. Now they did say 13,000 years ago when you use computer programs and you rewind time, it actually does point perfectly towards the constellation of Leo about 13,500 years ago. And the pyramids would actually have lined up pretty on point with Orion. There's only one problem. Around 13,500 years ago, there was a great cataclysm, or there was trouble in this world, so much so that life was in jeopardy. We know this from finding impacts from celestial bodies, which we know is a younger Dryas. So it's kind of hard to sit here and wrap your head around the Sphinx being created around the time of total chaos. So that doesn't make sense. But if you rewind it even further in time, which I believe they rewound it 30,000 to 35,000 years back, and that is even more compelling because not only does it line up, it lines up, everything lines up. And to our knowledge, there wasn't anything going on as far as life being in trouble here. That would definitely be something that we can attribute to something about 13,000 years ago, which lines up to the fall of Atlantis, which lines up to the flood, which lines up to a lot of insanity that was going on at the times. Even Göbekli Tepe, that was built around 13,500 years ago. To think about it, the world was in total chaos around that time. Billy Carson made an interesting point that in the Book of Enoch, I believe it was, or no, it was Deuteronomy, I believe he said it was, that Noah's son came down from where they were and encountered these massive monoliths, these massive structures. And as he was reading it, he found out that we can't repeat this process. They read through it and they were frightened by what these stones stated. And basically, it was depicting what destroyed the world. What they had survived through is what was depicted on these stones. And they said, no way, this cannot be repeated. And so they buried it, deliberately buried it. When they used LiDAR scans to go over Göbekli Tepe, not only did they find several more structures, some way even deeper than what they've uncovered up top on the surface. We're talking way down there. There's bunches more, and some are even bigger than what they've already uncovered. The sands and some of the minerals and that was used to bury this is actually not common. It's not native to that area. It actually is native to a mountain range about 400 something I think it's like 400 something miles back, and that would have ended up being the mountain where they say Mount Ararat, where the Noah's Ark is rested. They believe that's the mountain where they descended on, found Göbekli Tepe, saw it, and said, no, this needs to be buried. And they actually used from there and brought it over and buried it. And Billy Carson's making comparisons to where some of the things that have occurred in the Bible, this isn't just biblical stories. These are actually accounts. These are historical accounts. These are things that truly happened. And it's etched in history. It's etched into the Bible being composed of a bunch of different stories, all compiled in, definitely written by man. But again, I don't want to get into any kind of thing that's going to, press too much on someone's religion or anything. I mean no disrespect to anybody's religion. I'm simply just speaking of my thoughts of my beliefs, or just how I'm seeing things. I'm lining facts up like anybody else, just critical thinking. Maybe a little outlandish, maybe far-fetched, but it's worth thinking about. Everything in science needs to be questioned unless it's absolute. Then you don't need to question it anymore. But I'm still the kind of person that will question something that's absolute. Just for my mind to wander, man. So I'm absolutely fascinated by what's coming out. I'm really happy that people like Billy can get these platforms to come out and talk and put his theories and his knowledge out there for other people to listen to. And basically what's cool about it is you can build upon these works. You can do your homework yourself. They'll come out, they'll tell you they'll make these videos. And if you want to know more about Billy Carson, check out Forbidden Knowledge. That's his channel. There's another one who I like to follow, Y-Files. These are YouTubes. You can find them on YouTube, Forbidden Knowledge, Y-File. Even Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, what's awesome about Mr. Greer is that he's created a place where the world's leading scientists are coming. They're trying to create free energy. And Greer has put together this warehouse, this massive structure where he wants to start having them come in. And this is also going to be live streamed. This is work that will not be censored. This is work that will have just total freedom. And they want to create this, they explore the points of 0 point energy. They want to give free energy to the world. The works of Tesla at the Wardenclyffe Tower. What's awesome about what he was creating, and I have a very cool picture about the Wardenclyffe Tower. If you look at the Wardenclyffe Tower and you look at the beams that built up that tower, they're actually identical to the pyramids with the 8 points of the pyramid. You look at those beams, that's exactly what they look like. They look like 8-point pyramids as the beams go up. To me, it kind of also represents the chakra of life. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, it kind of represents the chakra of life in a way. There's all kinds of things that kind of just pinpoint to, there's things that are being suppressed from the rest of the world,
Yeah.
Could you imagine the world having access to free energy that's around us? I mean, and in my eyes, in order for you to exist and me to exist, we are electrical and water-based beings, man. In order for us to exist, there literally has to be something set in place electrical wise to keep us in balance. These are laws that need to be followed. Mm-hmm. So if laws need to be followed, there needs to be things in place for you to follow them laws. And to me, having electricity around us at all damn times kind of makes sense to how we're able to function and work with this world.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and take a spin on it. Mm-hmm. By having electricity around you all the time, couldn't that essentially short out the some people's ability to do things,
or heighten them,
and even by heightening them, couldn't it just? Now, this is all hypothetical, mm-hmm. Of course.
Pretty much everything we're talking about right now.
Really,
in a way, yes.
But a lot of people can't take that much electrical interference.
No. And sometimes being around electricity with your hair standing up means you're in the area of possible lightning. You could get fried.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get hit with lightning. And I will say, if you are in an area where there's a potential chance of you being struck by lightning. All you have to do to survive is just bend down and have your booty facing way up in the air. Because lightning goes from the ground up. So as long as you're way down, bent over, and your booty's up in the air, lightning's just going to go right through you and up to the cosmos. It will go, and you will survive.
So you're telling me it's going to shoot out your butt?
I'm not trying. Yes. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. I'm just trying to be funny.
So there's going to be all these people in the next lightning storm, and there's going to be on the damn newspapers, all these people bent over and got their butts blown out because you told them to do it. Good.
I will just simply state that I will clip every clipping from a newspaper that would have that in it. I would frame them all throughout my house. Could you imagine a bunch of people like this?
Don't do it. Just
in a way, if you think about it, it looks like a pyramid. Back to the pyramids, the capstones of the electricity. Oh, you know what? I think we're onto something.
I don't think so. I think we're onto a lawsuit.
Oh man. Hey, look, it's Egypt calling. Oh, it's like he's a horse. What's up, buddy? He's telling me not to talk anymore about this. This is an exploding topic. This is an exploding area of conversation. All right, we're good. We're good. Don't do that. Yeah, because now you're picturing it. Now your imagination's playing with you. I hope I've got everybody's imagination doing this right now. Welcome to Think Tank with Devin Cribb. This is what you can expect from me. I got to keep...
In the name of everything holy, don't do that.
Hey, we went camping and stuff, and could you imagine just being in a campground and seeing that? Not to mention if someone actually does it and then they survive, and you're like, oh my God! Are you okay? I'd imagine someone not being able to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's an experience.
Yeah, that was
of biblical proportions. So, anyways, we can end the show with that. And you all have a great night. Stay away from thunderstorms. But yeah, there's some fascinating things coming out. I'm really excited to see the future and what's coming around, because I feel like we are definitely in an age of enlightenment. They have been so footloose with talking about extraterrestrials, interdimensional, and I know you still got it going.
Right.
You will have this in your mind for at least for the rest of your life, I'm sure. For a couple of days. Oh my God.
Butt's blowing out.
I don't want to hear where butt's blowing out. I was so getting ready to say the story about Aunt Nancy with the... I was so close, but we'll save that for another day. And I possibly have to get permission to say the story.
Which you will never get.
I probably won't get permission for this story. So I'll say it whenever I do.
Oh,
But oh boy, this family. So yeah, I believe we're in the age of enlightenment. They've been so footloose with UFOs and allowing people to talk about these things and not so much silencing them. And now they'll tell them you can talk about things, just don't talk about certain things. If you notice, whenever they do like certain types of disclosures, they never really name drop.
No.
They'll say my source here, my source there, or my inside person here, but they don't name drop. But they do talk about things that are like, wow, I don't think they're supposed to be talking about it, but as long as they're not name dropping or giving dates and things like that, then I guess it's okay. It's you can talk about this, it's all right. I don't know, but in a way it kind of feels like this is their way of disclosing the information. It starts out with these little people talking about things, and then it starts building up to the upper echelon and them going, yeah, this is real.
Well, either that or that it's causing mass confusion and nobody knows what to believe because there's all these theories that are coming up and it confuses everybody and everybody just finally like, oh, what the hell, who cares anymore?
Yeah, misinformation is probably one of the greatest weapons of social media right
It's
now.
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
You just have everybody talking in their own opinions and after a while it's a big hodgepodge of crap and nobody believes anything. They've done their job.
That's frightening too.
It is frightening.
How quick that they can just go cover this up.
Yeah, and they don't need to cover it up. They can let the general public do that for them.
Yeah, because you come out and you talk. Think about this too. How long have people been talking about these things? And every damn time that they mention it, you're a psycho. You're crazy, man. There's no way. You mean to tell me you saw a little disc in the sky that went bloop, bloop, and then disappeared? Yeah, right. Or you were abducted, or you were this, or you were that. You're a Looney Tune. What if they're not? You know, everything they've been saying for all these years. What's even more sad is there's people that were around at that time that would swear up and down this happened. They're no longer with us.
Yeah.
They were ridiculed for the rest of their life. They're no longer with us, and their stories are probably valid. I mean, based on what I'm seeing today, a lot of these stories I'm hearing definitely are valid. It's just like with the crop circles. There's like what they say, like 90% of them are BS, but the 10% are real.
Right.
And those 10% are the most important, absolutely most important ones ever done, where they talk about our DNA. They talk about our placement in the solar system. They talk about their placement in the solar system. They talk about their DNA. And it's all etched out in the crop field.
But there's been so many of them that are just complete garbage.
And then those that fessed up to it.
It's gotten messed up in the grand scheme of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the realistic stuff going on, and you've got the absolute crap that's going on, and they're so intermingled at this point, nobody knows what to believe.
Compared to social media, it's the same thing. You have crop circles, most of them being BS, a small amount being real, but the small amount that are real are choked out by the majority that are BS. And you got people who are admitting to making them and then showing how they make them. It's the same thing with misinformation on social media, where you have the small amount that's the actual truth, but it's being like choked out by the majority of misinformation that's totally far-fetched, not true at all.
It's kind of like people who stay inside during a lightning storm and the other who goes out and bends over and shows their butt.
We go back to this. We're going to be going back to this for a while, aren't we? This is going to be used in a lot of comparisons.
Probably.
If I'm tagged by anybody, let me know that little bit of information that I gave to you, how it just life hacks. I hope I saved your life today.
Really saved your ass.
Hey, I have never bent over in a lightning storm. And if I did,
okay, so it's do as I say and not as I do, right?
Mom, this is science we're talking about here.
So we won't know until everybody goes out there and tries it.
Mom, they've been experimenting with the public since the public became the public. I'd be fascinated to know these results. I might even just Google some of these results and see if anybody's actually. You know what? Please don't do that. Man, I can't believe that. I shouldn't have said that. You know, like in Hagrid and Harry Potter, he's like, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. And then Harry and Hermione and Ron go and do it anyways.
Uh-huh.
I really hope Harry, Ron, and Hermione didn't do that during a thunderstorm.
I hope so. Lord, that's funny.
That'd be the Order of the Phoenix. You need to call Harry an ambulance. Order of the Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Mom, we really can't talk about.
We can talk about very little without cracking up and.
You know, it's just good science, making fun. But
it is.
But while still pressing on important subjects, you know.
Well, one of the really important things that you were talking with me about was the Anunnaki.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was amazing. when you were talking about the civilization back then,
Oh yeah.
and who they were, what they did, and that you were talking about, it had gotten so advanced it had to come to a stop.
Yeah, because it got absolutely out of control.
It just got
When they realized we advanced way too quickly based on their altering. And what's fascinating is there's two words. One word being the most powerful, I'm going to say the word manipulation. Manipulation is an extremely powerful word because it shows such dominance over something. You not only can change this, you can manipulate it. You can make it do whatever you want. There's this theory of stone manipulation. We weren't so much like masons where they worked with chisels and hammers and they built with these stones a certain way. We manipulated them. We were such heightened beings. We were so elevated. And I believe that the pyramids had a lot to do with this. They were used as weapons during the first and second pyramid wars. But I don't believe that was their original intentions. Their original intentions of these pyramids were to heighten us to where we only use a small percentage of our brain today. We were using it probably at full capacity back then.
right.
Could you imagine a whole damn civilization, a global civilization with all of us running at peak performance? What we were able to do? So when they talk about we were able to manipulate stone simply with thought and making it manifest, if you look at the constructions of some of those damn sites where they're 500, 200 damn tons, there's no way in hell a bunch of little half-naked people moved that shit and then built it with such precision. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. And anybody that believes that's the way it was, no. There's just no way. And if you really believe that's the case, go there, look at it for yourself, and then think, did they really do that with chisels and hammers and this and that? Ain't no way. Half naked running in the desert wearing nothing but a diaper? No way.
That wouldn't hinder them.
No, no. And I'm also going to state that just like other previous advanced civilizations, right? They came to that place already built. There's not a question in my mind about it. They came to it already built. Those pyramids were built. The Sphinx was there. There was tons more. As a matter of fact, it's all buried under the desert. When you go there and you go and look at it, and you look at it and it's there on the surface, what you're not thinking about is what's beneath you. That's the fascinating beauty about Egypt. There's so much beneath you. It's all there buried. I don't believe we have the technology at all to go out there and unbury a lot of that stuff. We can't do it. It's too deep. It's too down there. There's no way we have the tech to do it. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. But as far as being able to do it, I don't think we could. But there's a lot down there.
Well, I mean, that's like they were talking about the heads on Easter Island. Oh, there were just these big heads, these big faces, these big heads.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Olmecs were famous for building those.
Huge.
Now, the Olmecs were personally selected by Enlil himself and taken and moved.
Well, it just goes for a good example as to show for years and years and years, they were thought of as these gigantic heads. As it turned out, they had a whole body up underneath them.
Oh, those, yeah. What are they called? The Maui heads or something? Or
something like that.
Mau heads?
I'm not sure. I believe that they're on Easter Island, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But for years and years, everybody thought that they were just the heads.
No, and they actually have etchings in the stone.
They do.
And they tell, I believe some are actually man, those pins are getting to me. They're astrological based. What's interesting about those heads is that if you compare the work to the stones and Göbekli Tepe, they're like identical.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you look at the hands on the stones that are like this, look at the ones in Göbekli Tepe. It's freaking identical. The construction of it is.
Wow.
It's one of those things where you think about.
Well, look at the vast distance apart from each other.
That too. but it's also easy. You compare it to one that I like to compare it to is when you look at the Chinese, the sarcophaguses that they made in China back in those early dynasties, and then you look at the ones in Egypt, the ones that they made, they're identical.
Yeah.
So it's showing, no matter the age, it's showing where this world was way more connected than what we understood. We just believed that they expanded out. They went to these different places and populated them, but they had no communication with them. That's a bunch of BS, because Egypt was known as knowledge. This is where you went to learn about really interesting things. And even in ancient India and Cambodia, there's places where you can go, these temples where they taught. There's literally this ancient school, I believe it's in ancient India. They have this big structure that shows these were rooms where it was a school.
Didn't Egypt also have these great ports that they would travel to and from?
Port keys.
Port keys.
Yeah, actually, what's interesting is port keys. When you look at certain pictures of possible port keys, and you look at CERN, it looks damned identical. Yeah, it's the resemblance is it's there. It's striking. I can't look at these pictures and not find the things that this matches with this matches with this, and then my imagination will wander off. But I'm looking at something and I'm like, oh man, that looks too much like it for it not to be.
Yeah.
Or based off of it. One thing that I did find absolutely fascinating is those massive, those huge, like over 7-foot granite tall sarcophaguses that they have down in Egypt. They believed it was for the bulls. They believe that's what those sarcophaguses were, to carry the bulls. They put bulls in them. Absolutely not. When you compare it to somebody who's 6'3", because there's a picture of a guy who's 6'3", and his all the way up to the top of his head gets to the bottom lid of that sarcophagus. What in the hell was laying in there that was that massive? If you look at it, it's like Mr. Carson says.
But a bull would be so much more thicker than a human being laying down.
If you think about it and you go, giants, Nephilim, the Anunnaki, as tall as they were depicted, these things were known as rejuvenation chambers, revival chambers.
I remember you telling me.
Every 100 years, they would have to transfer their consciousness into a new avatar, into a new body. So their old body would sit, and over a period, it took them time. If this was not happening overnight, it took them time, but they would actually transfer the consciousnness from one body to another. And they were known as rejuvenation chambers. And it makes sense why there was only so many of them, because there was only so many of those Anunnaki that came here. As a matter of fact, they only give, there's a handful of them they give a contribution to, but Anu, Enke, and Lil, and there was another one, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now because this wasn't a subject I planned on talking about tonight, but there was another one, and he was the jealous one. He's actually the one that actually started the first pyramid war for control of the world. He was jealous that the people worshipped those three, but didn't worship him as much. And he got jealous. He became the jealous god and started the first pyramid war. First pyramid war wasn't as bad as the second pyramid war. That second pyramid war wiped us out. So that's the one where those pyramids were straight up used to the maximum ability as weapons, and it actually destroyed our planet. And we look at them today and go, wow, these things are fascinating, and we're inside of them, and we're walking around them, and we're fascinated by them, and they were actually used to destroy all of us at one point in time. It's fascinating to think. That's why Buzz Aldrin looked at the ones in Antarctica and said, this is evil itself. Yeah, because he knew exactly what he was looking at, and when they found out what those things were really used for and how they destroyed all of us, that's why he said that. These things are evil itself. And that's why some of them are, all the capstones that are missing, they never recovered them. And that is because the Anunnaki took them and deactivated them so that they can never, ever be used again in that way. So it's fascinating because they're still able to generate energy. Even in a dysfunction state, they're still producing energy. The one in Giza is still producing. They just did all kinds of recent experiments where it's showing that it's still creating energy, not as much as it probably was. And the Ark of the Covenant being stored inside of the inside the King's Chamber, where that sarcophagus is, if you look at it, it's actually broken. There's a piece of it in the corner that's busted off. It's not there anymore. And that's because it was blown off. And you can actually look, if you look, as Billy has said it himself, if you look into the corner of that pyramid and you take a good look, you'll actually find where the piece of that sarcophagus actually hit the fucking wall. Boom, hit it and left damage. You look up just past it, just a little bit down, 200-ton block of granite. 200 tons has a gigantic crack in it. There's all signs of whatever happened in there was extremely violent. Could you imagine the kind of energy that it would require to crack a 200-ton block? Damage the structure of that pyramid?
How did they know it was the Ark of the Covenant?
The box, the sarcophagus matches the dimensions to the Ark. And the Arks they're definitely power cells, like powerhouse cells, that they were designed to amplify those pyramids tenfold, man. Amplify them, because the pyramid, the one in Giza wasn't putting out enough energy. So when the one in Giza wasn't putting out enough energy, they knew they had to amplify it to make more. That's why the Arks of the Covenant were invented, to amplify them tenfold. Now, I don't know if they were created because of the upcoming war, and that's why they created them, to make them even more deadly than what they were. So maybe they wanted to power them up to make them even more fearsome. And now they say that 10 are documented, 10 Ark of the Covenants for the 10 Commandments. There's 10 Arks of the Covenant, 1 commandment per Ark. They say 7 have been recovered, 3 are missing. Now, if you think, this is just me, I'm going to throw one out there. This is like way the hell out there. But the Bermuda Triangle. They did say that they went down and they did document using LiDAR scans. Now, there's some that if you go to look fact check, they say, oh, it's not true. Others say it is. Who knows? I'm just going to throw it out there and say I believe it is, because why would they BS about something like that? And not to mention the LiDAR scans and everything else that they pulled. They even had divers go down there to check this thing out. They said there were crystals and that this thing was still activated. If it's still active, what if, now I'm just going to say it, what if there's an actual Ark of the Covenant down there that's gone abso-freaking-lute haywire?
But what are they? What's the epicenter of it all?
Well, if you think about it, when those ships and planes and everything go traveling through it, they're interrupted by electromagnetic energy.
Correct.
And that's what those pyramids emitted. Electromagnetic energy. It's all off the natural energy of this world.
So they found crystals under the water.
It's a crystal pyramid. I believe there was 2 of them.
Oh, it's a crystal pyramid.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them. I believe it said there's 2 or 3 of them that were down there. And the massive one was active. This thing is active. So let's say it's a sunken city, or it was sunk and destroyed deliberately, or it was destroyed in the last cataclysm, and that's where it shifted and moved to, and it's gone haywire, and they don't know how to deactivate it or turn it off. Maybe there is no way to deactivate it and turn it off.
Yeah.
And it's just something that the rest of the world's just going to deal with forever. You know?
Well, you can't turn off a volcano.
No, you got to let it run its course. So,
I mean, it could just be a natural phenomenon that Earth produces. The Earth itself produces it.
Yeah. So that's one of those ones I'm gonna throw out there. You know, it's possible. It's not possible. It's just a thought. But who knows? I mean, you never know. I mean, if there's really a pyramid sunken down there, a sunken city down there, and it's still active, it makes sense why your electronics malfunction on planes, or why people see they're traveling from one point to another in an instant. You know, if that thing's down there and is going berserk, it makes sense why all these things would happen in that area.
Yeah, sure.
And why would the government come out and be like, yeah, there's an active pyramid down there? They're not going to freaking admit that. Ain't nobody going to admit that. You know, there was a guy who admitted to finding this bubble of water in the water. And he said when he hit his craft, he bounced off of it. What happened to him? Died in a helicopter accident. There are not... Look that one up. This ain't a joke about bending over and shooting lightning
I
with your
was going to
booty.
say, did it happen in a lightning storm?
Yeah, you may have. Maybe he didn't put his booty to the air, but I will say his booty was whistling all the way down. I will say that, because that's terrifying in a helicopter accident. Now that could just be a coinky dink. What did we talk about coincidences earlier? Not
They don't
everything.
really.
No. So I don't believe anybody would ever really come out and go, yeah, man, that's an active pyramid. And yeah, man, there's an active Ark of the Covenant in there. And yeah, man, all that stuff's for real. Why would they do that? It don't make sense. But Timothy Hogan, who's current leader for the Knights Templar, has stated that they have 7 Arks of the Covenant, 7 of them, 7 out of 10. They do have them. I believe 2 or 3 of them are here in the States, and the rest are scattered amongst the world. One of them I do know that is in a temple, and this temple is actually guarded by they elect a monk every 3 to 5 years to guard, and it is literally called the Temple of the Ark of the Covenant. This is a temple that has an ark in it. The monks only last 3 to 5 years. They die from this weird type of poisoning where they go blind. Their skin starts to show signs of damage and radiation. They
I
basically
was going to say,
they're
that sounds
dying.
like radiation.
They die from radiation. Now, this town, by the way, is so heavily guarded. Good freaking luck getting in there to take anything. When you go to visit this temple, if you're able to go in to visit the temple, which they don't let you inside, they just let you go to the gate, and you are not allowed beyond that. And I can tell you now, I don't think anybody's got the balls to pull out a Geiger counter and go, let's see what's going on. This place is armed every corner. It's got someone with a gun on it. You are not raiding this town and taking this. If there really is an Ark of the Covenant in there, you ain't getting it. Point blank and a pert. You are not taking it. But this particular guy is journalist who goes to talk to the monks, and the monks literally told him, yes, the Ark of the Covenant is in here, and we guard it. And within the first 2 to 3 years, that monk that's assigned to that ark goes blind and eventually dies of a weird type of poisoning. Every last one of them. You can look this up. There's some things out there that are just, yeah, you start doing your homework and looking into it, and it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
It's frightening.
And frightening. Sure.
It is.
Sure.
It's frightening.
But Timothy Hogan did come out and state that they plan on unveiling these treasures to the world eventually. So he actually has his show on Gaia, and some of us believe that the reason for this show is so that he can start doing that. Little by little, he can start putting it out there until the point when they eventually unveil what it is that they had been collecting all those years. Under the rule of Christianity. I believe, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I will state that Christianity took over the world. It is the world religion. It took over the world faster than the Romans were going to. And you start looking into it, and it's like Kitty had told me, or Vita had told me, that paganism was one of the first ones. And there's reasons why it's incorporated with Christianity. And that is because that was set to take over the world. Christianity comes up and merges with it, and they become the superpower that takes over the world. Think about how much control Christianity has over everybody.
Well, yeah.
And if you're not religious, you're going to hell.
Well, I was going to say, they would kill you for the belief of it.
Think about how many. What did they say? 70 million or 80 million people from the time of Christianity until now. I think 80 million people have been killed in the name of Christianity. 70 to 80 million people have been killed in the name of Christianity through wars and everything else. And they were going around the world. That's what the Templars did. They went and they pillaged and took all of these fascinating artifacts. And some say it's because it went against Christianity and Christian beliefs. So they got all these treasures. I believe they were going around and picking up treasures from the lost civilizations that were here before us. They were, again, it's like they said, well, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around their technology. Well, we went the route of our technology, right? And we've made our advances based on the route we took with our technology. That civilization before us went a completely different way. They went the way of understanding how the world worked, how the planet worked, how the solar system works, how the universe destroyed, and we were separated into different areas, placed into different areas, and then given different languages, so we can no longer communicate with each other. That's what we went through, and it's so interesting when you think about it. And you go, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense, because if we were unified, we're scary as a whole. Think about the entire world coming together to heighten our civilization instead of wars and fighting and killing and destroying.
Yeah.
My God, the advancements we can make as a whole. But we're nowhere near there right now. We're still kind of like separated, you know? It takes sometimes tragic events for us all to come together.
It's true.
And then, we see how powerful we are when we all come together, but something separates us again. It's like something out there says, no, you're too close. Let's go ahead and let's pull that curtain back a little bit more. Let's tighten the veil up. And they start pulling us away from each other. But we have all kinds of tools now to communicate with one another. Oh, you don't know Chinese? You don't know this? No problems. Boot up Google. Let it translate for you. We have ways of communicating with each other now that we never had before. Or so we thought.
So we thought. Well,
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where that.
this has been an interesting topic. When it's hard to substantiate any of it. When you're just working on theory, and theory, in order to really have any kind of scientific value, it has to be proven. And that is a long, drawn out process.
Yeah.
And, but it has to start somewhere. Definitely, it has to have a starting point. And so many people are questioning what is going on out there with this whole thing with the extraterrestrials. To me, it's a silly argument. To me, it's like, obviously, there has to be life other than what we know. They're even talking about octopus at this point. And I'm not kidding with you. They're actually saying that octopi are not from this world. Make sense? They're highly intelligent, highly emotional.
Like nothing at all in the sea. They're unique.
They're very unique.
Kind of like a dolphin in a way, too. How intelligent a dolphin is, their communication, the way they communicate with each other, their sonar abilities. They're fascinating creatures.
They're fascinating creatures, but then again, they also blend in with the other creatures of the sea, whereas octopi don't.
It's true. They're different altogether. Jellyfish, too. They're very unique.
Yeah. They're but they're not as intelligent as the octopus.
True.
So octopus actually can use, they can use reasoning. They have memories. I mean, it's amazing what they can do. They use tools. They're actually quite intelligent.
And very adaptive.
So
Yes.
so the powers to be are now saying, well, we were thinking that octopus are probably not of this world. I don't know.
Where'd they come from?
They had to come from somewhere.
I believe Elon Musk stated that either we're the only things that are here, or there is life out there. Because there's only one of two possibilities. Either we're the only things in existence, or there's aliens and us. So either we're alone or we're not. And both are equally terrifying.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I've got to go along with the probability to me is greater that there is other life forms out there.
Of course there is.
And it's just,
The Bible literally states that we were created by a creator, which
Yeah.
means other life exists than us. So for someone to sit here and go, oh, I don't know. Dude, if you're religious and you follow a book that you base your life off of, it literally states that you were created by a creator.
Yeah.
So there is other intelligent life out there that literally put your booty here so that lightning can go through.
I was going to say, there we go again.
Like, go through. If you guys watch Avatar, then you know you can redirect lightning if you do it a certain way. Just don't do it through this method.
That orifice.
Nice word.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a word of the day.
Orifice.
There we go. That's a good word of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jerry's final thoughts.
Debbie's final thought.
There we go.
Orifice.
Oh my Lord. The next think tank we're going to have will not be upon, I will not have lightning
Please don't.
booty holes in the next one. I'm definitely going to touch more on the Anunnaki. We'll touch more on
Yeah.
Enki-Elil and Anu. I'm definitely going to touch on the ones where Egyptians were actually, in a way, misled about the mummification process and why they mummified their higher ups and why they mummified each other, why they put all of these gifts and things inside of the chambers. Because you would think and you go, well, why would they leave gold and chariots and this and that and their pets and their servants and their wives? Why were they all put in? I'm going to touch on something that's very cool about that, and why the mummification process was done. Or you could look it up yourself and ruin the good show that I had planned for.
Because God only knows what we'll come up with.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm going to stay away from the, yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the think tank. I'm Devin.
I'm Debbie, and this is Spooky Things. And join us again next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Who's your guest for?
I'm thinking it's going to be Matt and Lee Triana Terry Brown
No kidding.
from Repossessed on Hulu.
That's a show to check out if you have not seen yet. Definitely check into that.
Absolutely. Beautiful people. I mean,
she gives fantastic hugs. I'm going to say it because I can actually talk about this. Did you tell her what I said about the hugs?
yes, I think I did.
Oh, okay. Well, just to press on it, yeah, she gives fantastic hugs, and I sat there. My mom got a hug from her, and I just sat there going, I really want to ask her for one of those too, because it looks so. It was a nice embrace, and I'm like, man, I want one of those. Like when a kid, and you're like kind of walking through the store, and you're like, I want this. That's how I felt.
Awesome.
That was a great hug. You could feel the energy off.
Yeah, I love Lee. I just love Lee. Another thing that's going on is that the Deep South Para-Comic-Con, yeah, we had to come up with another date for it. Very involved. But the date that we were looking at this point is now going to not be in October at all. It's September.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be in September. And it is going to be is it the 21st and 22nd? The 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
That's cool. It's Peace Day.
It is.
Yeah,
It's Peace Day.
And then autumn begins. That would actually be a really cool date to launch it on. Autumn officially would begin on that day, and the day before that would be Peace Day.
That would be Peace Day.
So you could put the more peaceful people on this day, and then when autumn begins, you can really go all out.
There you go. I think that's a good idea.
It is. It is. And I'm way off the camera when I'm talking about it.
You
All you see is like part of my body. Alert.
Hello. So That is that is the weekend. Now it's kind of like, we're not moving it again. It's going to be the 20th. Well, it's going to be the 21st and the 22nd.
Party hard.
I hope I'm giving the right date.
I really do too.
Because it could be the 14th or the 15th. I think it's the 21st or the
Mom, we are literally going to give them every date in September.
book September.
It's in September.
I think it's on the 21st and 22nd. But this is something very, very, very new. Or the 14th and 15th. But in any case, we had to move it up to September. But we've got some great, and I'm not really sure of how much of that I can share. So I'm going to have to just zip it up right now.
Zip the lip.
Yeah, zip it up because we're not real sure. Our founders are pretty sure. But before I go saying names over the radio, I want to make sure that it's correct, kind of like the date. It's kind of important. So, but
Super necessary.
Yep. So put your calendars on September, Deep South Paracomic Con. And oh man, we got some cool stuff going on.
That we do.
There is really going to be some cool stuff going on.
Way different than last year.
Yeah, it's bigger.
It's got to be bigger.
Oh yeah.
For sure. At this point, yeah, it's definitely bigger.
Yeah, with some of the people that are going to be there, you guys, you definitely want to tune in for that.
Oh yeah.
So remember, we're on the Webb Broadcasting Network. You can check us out on YouTube under the Webb Broadcasting Network, and Stan Fikes and Teresa Fikes. And Webb Paranormal is the team behind the Webb Broadcasting Network, operated by Stan and Teresa Fikes. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next week. And it's going to be a great show again next week. And we will come back with Devin and, research a little bit more into the things that he was talking about, and not go into some of the things that
involve lightning
protruding
out of orifices. That is going to be the highlight of this entire show.
That's going to be the highlight of the year.
Jeez, man. I go to make a show about awareness of total solar eclipses, and it becomes a lightning in the booty joke. It's going to be the headline of this conference.
Fire in the hole.
Mom. No. Are you serious?
It slipped out.
No, it did not. That's even worse. That's even more puns. All right, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Devin.
I'm Debbie.
This is Think Tank with Spooky Things. Bye.
Bye.